Well, it is race night once again for the iRacing Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's running of the Goodies 250 from Martinsville, Virginia, and the Martinsville Speedway, the fastest paperclip in the world. My name is Lola Rapper with Brian Britt beside me in the broadcast booth. Rob Melnick down behind the cameras for tonight's race. So, Brian, it should be a very, very exciting race then for us here tonight. Martinsville, obviously known as one of the wildest racetracks over on the NASCAR calendar, which means we should be in for a very good show here tonight.
Oh, we definitely are in store for an insane show here. I mean, this is a track, quintessential short track, I would say. I mean, a lot of beating and banging probably going to be taking place. A lot of guys getting really loose off the corners. Very difficult to set this car up. You want to always trend towards the looser side. So a lot of these guys, you know, are probably going to be loose off the corners. But then you have to see that a guy that might be get tight hit that wall too. I think we're going to see probably all the cars by the end of the night going to have some sort of damage here. I think if you get out of this race without damage, you didn't race it right.
That is really how the saying goes. If you come out of Martinsville clean, you're not doing something right, and it should be a very exciting race then for us here tonight. Obviously, we are expecting this race to be rather attrition-filled, and with the running being 250 laps long, this could very well be one of the longest races that we have throughout the course of this 2022 campaign as well. As we get set to go racing into the dusk, it is currently 7:38 p.m. in sim time. The lights have already ticked on. We get set to go racing not under the sunlight here in Martinsville, Brian, but it'll be under the night lighting this time around.
Yeah, that's going to change constantly as this race goes on. Right now, 71 degrees on the actual racetrack, and it's going to get cooler as we go on. You know, the track's going to be continuously changing when the rubber gets laid down, and I think as the runs go on, it's going to get harder and harder to try to pass on the top. This is one of those tracks where, you know, really the bottom is the only viable option, but if you have a good enough car, you can make something work on that top line in the beginning. Nolan. So this is going to be quite the wild one. Martinsville never disappoints. Like you said, we could see, you know, kind of numerous cautions, but I still think this is going to be a fun one.
Numerous cautions, I think, is going to be the name of the game. We're not expecting a huge number. I don't think we're going to get quite as high as the 20s or the 30s, but definitely going to be a little bit higher than the usual number we get, which is typically between 1 and 5 or so. That is, of course, not including the two-stage cautions, which will be coming at laps 50 and 100. We'll get into all of that in just a couple of moments, but for now, checkered flag has flown on qualifying. So with that, it's time for us to take a quick step back and listen in to the United States National Anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
The nighttime is the right time. Remember when I told all my drivers, reach up there and pull those belts tight for
Starting on pole position then for the Goodies 250 from Martinsville Speedway will be the number 92 car of Clayton Hoffman, with Mark Paget starting beside him on the front row. Down in third place in the Pepsi Triad number 32 Chevrolet will be Jeff Barnes, with Kenny Powell in the G&G Camry beside him on row number 2. Wayne Grossi's Pennzoil Chevy is in 5th place, with Al Kozlowski down in 6th. Matt DiCiani is in 7th. Andrew Layton in the Hawaiian Tropic Chevrolet is in 8th, with Greg Wychinski in 9th. Randy Drumhiller, the last of the drivers to set a time in his Rhino Liney's Ford Mustang, rounds us off in 10th place, Brian.
11th place is going to be Josh Schaffner. 13th, Greg Bartlett. 15th, Paul Olson. 16th, or I'm sorry, a little bit of a mess up here in the running order here, but Kendall Levron going to be, I do believe, in 14th, and Mark Sanchez in 15th. So a couple guys that are in that running order on my screen showing up a little different here. So just we know Chris Severa going to be running the race control, so definitely shout him out. He's going to have a lot of work under his belt here tonight, Nolan.
And, of course, that is because there is a rather unique, shall we say, glitch in the matrix, so to speak. Some drivers haven't been really getting wave arounds when they were supposed to all week long. Severa's there to make sure everything goes safe and sound, so good to see that drivers are willing to take a step down on the occasion to make sure that things still run smoothly. Obviously, McMeekin, you saw him on the starting grid, was going to race tonight, tried to slip in under the radar, but he did exceed the maximum number of penalty points, and so he is finding himself parked for the week. So we'll have to hopefully see McMeekin back another time, making it a 15-car field for us then here tonight. Of course, I think it's now time to talk about some of the race facts coming into tonight's race. Stage cautions. They're going to be at 50. They're going to be at 100. Very, very easy numbers to remember, but that still leaves 150 laps to run in that third stage. That's a very long time, and that's why I was talking about earlier, Brian, when I was mentioning about how long of a race this was going to be.
It's definitely going to be a long race, but these laps, if they can stay green, they're going to go by very, very quickly, especially these the stage 1 and stage 2. I think, we blink our eyes, we might miss it, depending on how aggressive these guys get. That short track mentality starts to take over. You could see some problems, but I do know we have 5 sets of tires in the pits here. Fuel window is 120, so if that last stage goes green completely, these guys would have to pit for fuel. I doubt that is going to be the case, though.
Very, very rarely do you see instances in Martinsville where drivers have to come on in for fuel because they went that long on a green flag run. I think the question today could potentially be more about the tires. As the field gets set to come around for their second of 2 pace laps on the field tonight, I have to ask, Brian, you got anybody that you feel we might be seeing a victory lane, or do you think it might be wise to wait a little bit to see how this first stage plays out?
I definitely think it's going to be wise to wait and see how this stage plays out. I mean, all we've seen really is hot laps from these guys in practice. Haven't really seen a really long run. So you mentioned it, tires are going to be important. Your setup is going to be pretty important too. You have to have a well-handling machine here, one that rotates the corners very well and handles on the long run. So, I mean, the fast guy might not be the winner of this race. It could be the guy that's just consistent.
Pace cars down and in. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for more beautiful Thursday night racing action in the hands of Clayton Hoffman and Barney the Flyman, as we say, let's go racing here in Martinsville, Virginia.
And Paul Olson going really slow there to the bottom, but Clayton Hoffman able to have a good start. Ooh, Andrew Layton gets really tight back there.
Going to keep it off of the wall. That's what matters. So Kozlowski battling that with DiCiani. Powell tried to look up the inside of Paget, who's starting to slip a little bit further back. Al Kozlowski going to hold the high side. DiCiani, though, will pick up 5th. Kozlowski throws it into turn number 1, and Wayne Grossi now leaves pit road, and already Wayne Grossi going to find himself 1 lap down. He had to wait after he started this race from pit road. As well as that, Josh Schaffner taking a very late call to the starting grid. He is at risk of going a lap down early on here with Hoffman trying to run him down.
That's got to be a scary situation for Josh Schaffner and the leader, Clayton Hoffman, seeing him right there already.
Trouble! Al Kozlowski into the pit wall off of turn 2, and there will be no yellow for it, but that has destroyed the Speedway Angels number 88.
He is missing his hood right now. That is just huge damage. But one thing about this racetrack, though, you could see guys get damaged like that and still be in contention. So I would not put it past to see a car that's like heavily damaged to be able to still come out here and maybe win this race. Unfortunate to see damage that early, though.
Just got loose out of turn 2. You saw in the replay, and then just nosed it into the water barrels there, and luckily managed to keep that thing out of traffic. We keep this race going green, and I think he probably got a bit out of shape when Kenny Powell bobbled big time right in front of him and took out one of the cones. That marks the end or the exit of pit road, and Powell's very, very lucky that he didn't get an unsafe pit exit penalty there. That is something that has happened in the past, right? Drivers clip those cones when they're in the middle of a wreck. They'll get penalized because iRacing assumes they just went in and out of pit road.
Yeah, Al Kozlowski also very lucky. You know, hitting those barrels, a lot of times you get stuck. And he didn't get stuck. He was able to get out of there and drive back, you know, onto the racetrack. You know, you get stuck there, you got to take a tow, and that'll put you several laps down here. And we mentioned before, Josh Jobner right now under fire from Clayton Hoffman. And lap traffic going to be a huge part of the race tonight, I do believe, Nolan.
Now, lap traffic could be a very big deal, and already the main pack, the main lead lap pack at least, spread out over the entire first half of the track, and there's a battle going on for 6th and 7th. Greg Wachinski trying to fight back. Layton takes the high side away into turn number 3, and I think Wachinski got a little bit crossed up out of turn 2, which is what allowed Layton to get that magnificent run, and this allowing Kendall LeBron to take full advantage. Look at Wayne Grossi going through as well. Wachinski has smoked the tires, and he's got no speed underneath him anymore.
Yeah, that's one thing about it. Once you get enough temperature in those tires, it's so hard to get it out. I mean, you see these calipers when they're going through these corners getting red hot. I'm curious. I don't think iRacing simulates that, but I mean, I would assume it would have some sort of effect when you get those brakes too hot, when you brake a little too hard, get those tires wore up. But you know, Wayne Grossi, we're seeing how he's moving very quick, but he's like a lap down right now, trying to work his way back up through this field. He's going to be looking for some type of caution. He's going to need to at least hold on right now. He does not have Lucky Dog. Josh Schaffner has that right now.
Saw Mark Patchett also break past the Triad Pepsi number 32 machine of Jeff Barnes. So that was Triad on Triad. And now they got Josh Schaffner in their way. Schaffner, currently the Lucky Dog driver, the first car one lap down. And I don't think he's going to have to worry about Wayne Grossi.
Oh, yellows out
for the first
Kendall
time.
LeBron. Definitely something to do with Kendall LeBron. He's missing his front end.
We'll see if we can find out where this incident took place. It's a bit of an interesting one for me.
Oh, it looks like he just got loose.
I think you're right. It was down on the front straightaway, so gotta look at this here. Oh, just overcorrected outside wall, and he took Grossi with him, and that clogged the front stretch. Wachinski was lucky to get out of that one unscathed.
I'm shocked that Kendall got that heavy of a damage from that. But man, that took his whole front end off, and like you said, he just overcorrected, and it's so easy to do with this track. I mean, you try to get, the whole point of a track like this is exit speed. You want to get to that gas as soon as you possibly can, and I think that's what we saw there. He was trying to get back to the gas as quick as he could. It stepped out, and he tried to correct it, and it did not work.
LeBron is in pit road. Josh Schaffner has gotten his lead lap back with the Lucky Dog free pass. I'm surprised Al Kozlowski didn't come into pit road, and I have to wonder what is up with that, but I wonder if maybe the damage is more cosmetic than it's actually performance impacted, because the hit itself was actually a pretty square hit, Brian. And of course, he didn't hit the front of the barrels, he hit the side, right? And that's going to mitigate a huge part of the damage right there. But now he does come down pit road, and he takes Olsen with him, so does Grossi. And actually, I'm starting to wonder if maybe LeBron just pitted one lap too early.
Well, I mean, he had traumatic damage, and, a lot of times that frustrates you quite a bit. And, maybe he didn't see that pit road was closed or something like that. Could have been the case. One thing about this track, though, if you do get sizable damage, it's so difficult to actually try to get it fixed. I mean, the caution laps around this place are pretty quick. I mean, about 40 seconds, 44 seconds. And that's not a lot of time to get damage fixed. If you're at the back of the pack and you pit, you could go a lap down if you stay there too long. This is a small track. I mean, a half a mile, it does not take long for that pace car to get around.
I believe we're 2 to green this time by. And you mentioned the caution laps being quick, and just kind of put that into perspective. Obviously, you know, the regular race times are about 19 seconds or so, 19 to 20 seconds. Caution laps, how about 44? So essentially one caution lap equates for what would amount to 2 laps under green. That is not what we can say for some tracks, especially those like Daytona, right, where you could probably get down 4, 5 green flag laps around Daytona in the time it takes to do one caution lap, really just emphasizing about how quick the caution laps here go. And even then, the pace car's only going 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, I think a lot of what it comes down to is, you know, these guys, when even they're racing, are going pretty slow through the middle of these corners. I mean, Martinsville, a heavy braking racetrack. I mean, we saw Richmond, not a lot, you know, it's not as heavy a braking through the corners there. This is a definitive short track. I mean, Richmond acts like a speedway in a lot of ways. This does not. This is a short track.
When Grossi has parked it on pit road, he'll become our first retirement on the night, only about 17 laps in. With that, it's in the hands of one Clayton Hoffman, who's going to take the jump early, and the field is back to green flag racing as we thunder down towards turn number 1. Once again, Paul Olsen pulls away or pulls down early, does not want any part in the battles further on back. But you've got the likes of Jeff Barnes trying to regain lost time while Kenny Powell goes on the offensive.
You also see further back here, Randy Drumhiller up the inside there. Greg Bartlett making a pass there for 8th place. But Bartlett able to power around the high side.
That's the thing, that outside lane can really bind you if you don't know how to run it. And Bartlett is doing a phenomenal job on putting that car where it needs to be. Drumhiller, not a whole lot he can do on the inside lane, and it looks like Bartlett will break clear this time by. And how about Al Kozlowski up in 10th place and trying to fight for 9th when he's trying to put the pressure on the Rhino Linings 44. He's going to go down the inside. I think that's proof enough that Kozlowski isn't nearly as damaged as what that car model might be showing.
Yeah, and he could even be missing some RPM. Oh, Clayton Hoffman loses it. He spins off the racetrack. No caution for this. Oh, no.
This is bad news for Clayton Hoffman. Lost it all by himself out of turn number 2, and that could potentially be a penalty for Clayton Hoffman because once again he clipped that cone right there. Slides. Is that enough? I don't believe it was, but Clayton Hoffman very, very lucky not to go a lap down.
And also he had the potential to hit those barrels. I mean, he knew once he lost it to lock it down. Very smart decision for him. If he hadn't done that, he would have probably hit those barrels and might have ruined his race completely. I mean, he still got, has a chance here. He hasn't won a lap down yet.
Greg Bartland's being put under fire by Al Kozlowski in the fight for 7th place, and now Kozlowski really breaking deep, trying to get the upper hand on the Triad 77 Chevrolet, and he's got him into turn number 1. Kozlowski continues to work his way further up throughout this field, and it will be halfway through stage 1 this next time by at the line, with now the likes of Mark Padgett leading. We'll see what he can do as he tries to hold on to a race lead with Kenny Powell trying to reel in that gap.
Yeah, I loved what I was seeing from Al Kozlowski there. The line he was taking really close to, that curbing. You got to be real careful with that, though. If you hit that curbing, it can send you right up the racetrack. Could cause some issues. We might see some incidents like that here tonight. But Kenny Powell definitely trying his best here. He's running about close to the same lap time as Mark Padgett. Just not quite as quick, but he still seems like he's consistently reeling him in right now. But one thing, this is that track where it really does. When you catch someone, it's not going to be easy to pass them at all. I've been very impressed with Andrew Layton here. He's starting to catch up here to Matt DeCiani. That Hawaiian Tropics machine looking really quick tonight.
And he's not the only one. I mean, even a little bit further down the order, you've still got drivers looking to duke it out with each other. You've got Schaffner and LeBron that are in a little bit of a scrap, but of course LeBron is a lap down. Mark Sanchez and Randy Drumhiller, they're looking a bit close. There's the tail for the final points paying spot in this first stage, of which we are now in the second half. So time is starting to run out for a few of these drivers to make these moves, and you have to start to wonder how long will it be before some guys make mistakes like that one. Sanchez way up the hill. Drumhill going to go right through and almost loses out to Paul Olsen for 11th as well.
I'm wondering if it maybe the tires are starting to play a role here. You know, maybe these guys burned them up a little bit too much and now just don't have anything left. I mean, this track, when your tires are gone, you're going to feel like you're walking on eggshells. I think that's what Mark Sanchez is feeling right now. I think Olsen has the right idea, though. I mean, we keep seeing him on these restarts. He keeps falling back to the back. I think he knows that this is going to be a race of attrition. He just wants to survive it.
Step one on short track racing, especially on iRacing, is make sure you're actually there to fight for positions at the very end. And it's not always worth it staying up in front when you know you got a lot of guys behind you that are only there because they wrecked out, and you know they're going to be really aggressive to try to work their way past you as quickly as possible. Sometimes it pays off to just pull aside and let them on through, like he did right there with the likes of Clayton Hoffman, who was, of course, the race lead until he spun himself out. Olsen realized that's not a fight that he was about to pick. Pulled aside, let him through. It's exactly what you like to see. Now Hoffman takes the inside of Sanchez, who I think moved up high out of 2 to give him the room as well.
Yeah, definitely a smart call. A dangerous decision, though, too. I've seen a lot of guys, this week trying to let people go high in those corners, and their cars don't handle up there, and they end up spinning. So definitely kind of a scary thing to do, too, because, I mean, the cars aren't really built to run the high side at this track. But good thing nothing did happen there for those guys. Al Kozlowski has really been starting to run down Greg Wyszynski. I have just been shocked at how much speed this guy has, missing that bumper. I don't know. Somehow that might be helping him. I don't know. I think we might need to. I think he hit that on purpose. That way we wouldn't see some of the illegal adjustments he has on that machine.
Well, you have to remember that Al Kozlowski is by no means a slouch. He was second fastest in the practice time, set a 19.233, and a 19.444 put him 6th place on the grid, so a botched lap clearly. A 19.499 is put him around the 3rd or 4th fastest lap so far that we've seen all night long. So Kozlowski is a really quick driver, and I think he definitely has got the car to contend for a top 5 position. He's just got to make sure that he can, again, be there in the end to be able to duke it out. And so far, he's doing what he's got to do, and next car in his side is going to be that DuPont Chevrolet of Greg Wyszynski just up the road.
I hate to see that damage on that car, too. That's one bad thing about Martinsville. Every race car probably going to receive some sort of damage, and such a pretty car Greg Wyszynski's got. Really love that new paint scheme he's running, and so unfortunate to see it all scuffed up like that. It looks like he might be having a little bit of a handling issue. I'm looking at the way he's going to these corners. It's almost like he might have knocked his toe out or something.
Mark Paget just lapped Paul Olsen, so that makes Olsen now the lucky dog driver, and Paget has got Kenny Powell really breathing down his neck, and Kenny Powell is not about to make this easy for the Caterpillar Triad driver of the 02 Chevrolet. Kenny Powell wants to go for this stage win as much as anybody. With just over 10 laps left to go, I can guarantee you he is really going to be chomping at the bit to try to see if he can't put Mark Paget down one more and net himself one extra stage point. And this lap traffic certainly helping him here as Mark Sanchez starting to check Paget up as we hit 10 to go.
Yeah, Kenny Powell, if you look at his line, he's really dominating the corners, really getting a good run out, and the lap car is definitely going to come into play here. I mean, it's so hard to pass, but luckily the lap track has been very respectful. Mark Sanchez did the perfect thing there by pulling down. He knew where these guys were going to be catching him and passing them. So that was a smart call there from Sanchez.
You see Powell entering very, very low. He's taking these tight entries, I think trying to just fill the mirrors of Mark Paget, trying to make sure he knows that he's there. Maybe trying to scare him into a mistake, but I think he's too far back for that to really be an effective strategy. 8 laps to go in stage 1, and Powell can get a little bit closer with every single attempt he goes at it. How much is he going to be willing, though, to lean on that back bumper? Is he going to get close enough to think about the bump and run? Personally, I would think that it's a little bit early to kind of be making that kind of a call so early in a race as long as this one.
And I almost feel like Kenny maybe abused his stuff up a little bit too much there. He seems like he's falling back a little bit more, and I don't think he's going to be able to get to his back bumper. But you're right, though. I mean, mind games are going to be so important. Mark Paget, you know, if he's looking at his relative, paying attention to other stuff that's set for the road in front of him, he definitely has a potential to make a mistake here.
On board with the Gas and Go Camry as he swings his way back through 3 and 4, and just up in front of him, that is more lap traffic. That's Greg Bartlett, the first car in line in a battle with Drumhiller, or I should say it was in a battle with Drumhiller for the final points pay position in stage 1. I think they will not be able to get even close to them. Well, they might catch Bartlett. I don't think they're going to be catching Drumhiller, though, by the end of this stage, as we're only 4 to go.
Well, catching one of them it might be just enough. I mean, that's all Kenny Powell needs is for Mark Paget to get slowed down just a little bit. I mean, now he's starting to have a little bit of a resurgence here. Maybe he was cooling those tires off. Kenny Powell pulling back up to the back bumper. Look at this. He is really putting that rubber to the grindstone right now. Ooh. I don't know if he got loose there. Was maybe trying to get underneath Paget.
Oh, there's the lunge. Tried for it in the turn 1, but was too far back. Paget covered him off, but time is running out, and I think Mark Paget has realized that Kenny Powell is willing to throw it in, and Bartlett makes a late call to pit road right when pit road closes.
Yeah, that's an interesting call there from him. I don't know. That's going to put him. I think he already knew he was getting ready to go a lap down. Oh, wow. Last second attempt here from Kenny Powell. Powell's getting so close to that back bumper right now.
Going to be the final lap around this time in the opening stage of the night. Does Kenny Powell have what it takes to try to get a stage 1 win? So close to the back, but he's going to bobble in one. I think that'll be a done deal and one fight done. Mark Paget has won round 1 of the Goodies 250 here in Martinsville. He comes out of turn 4 and will take an easy win in stage 1 of the night.
Yeah, what a great performance there from that 0-2. He put it on him out there, and unfortunate for Clayton Hoffman, him spinning early in the stage. Curious to see what stage 2. I think that's what's going to make really stage 2 so exciting. Seeing some of these guys maybe learning some lessons from the first stage and applying them to the second one.
So caution is out. Typically we would be going to a commercial break right about now, but I want to wait to see what these green flag pit stops or the yellow flag pit stops will yield first, because obviously pit road will be open really soon here. I think it's actually open this time by. In fact, it is. We'll watch the field come on down as Mark Paget will be the first in. Will he be the first off? The field was very spread out. The caution came out late. I would not be surprised if we saw it be a relatively kind of easy, the way they come out, the way they came in.
I mean, there could be some mistakes on pit road. This is a hard pit road to navigate. I mean, you see the corner. I mean, you know, some of the pits are in the corner here, so some of them are kind of hard to know exactly where you're supposed to put your car. I mean, it's easy to miss. But it looks like these guys were able to get into their boxes, so that's going to be good.
So Paget up on the left side. He is off the jacks and off and away he goes. So Mark Paget leaves pit road. Kenny Powell right behind him. Then it's Barnes, DeCiani, and Layton will be the one to finish up what should be now the top 5 for the cars that came down to pit road. We'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with stage 2 here in just a couple of moments.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
still under the caution period, and the way it is starting to look, Kendall LeBron and Paul Olson will both be drivers that will be waved around the iRacing pace car, which means they will maintain on the lead lap. So we've got ourselves 13 drivers out there on the lead lap currently, and then 2 drivers that are out of this race, being Greg Bartlett and Wayne Grossi. So it should be relatively simple restart for the field. Then lights are out on the pace car. We get set to go racing for stage 2.
Yeah, I'm wondering what happened to Greg Bartlett. I didn't really see him. He was just racing in the mid-pack. It's kind of interesting there. Maybe something came up.
Quite possibly. It's a bit unfortunate, but hey, it is what it is. Good news is there's a long way left to go. Whether Bartlett will be on the lead lap, though, by the end of this race, that remains to be seen. Pace car is down and in, and Mark Paget leads the field back to green for the second stage of the night. Jeff Barnes has second place. Powell lunges for the high side, but he's too deep in a 1, and that would only open up the door for DeCiani to try to attack for third.
Man, that was quite the gamble. I mean, taking it that deep into that corner, but Kenny Powell definitely bold move for sure, as DeCiani really starting to put the pressure on him side by side.
Side by side, and all the while, Mark Sanchez has been given a black flag. He is going to have to serve that now on this restart. He's currently serving that in pit road. DeCiani and Powell still side by side, and with them, you see Clayton Hoffman also in the mix. Remember when Hoffman spun out in stage number 1, slowly been trying to claw his way back out? Well, now he's ready to go after those podium positions again. First one in his sights, Kenny Powell.
Yeah, Clayton Hoffman definitely been on the march. I mean, even with that spin and losing so much time, he started catching a lot of guys and passing them, and now he's up into the top 5. It's not going to be an easy thing here to pass. I mean, these guys are not just going to give you those positions. They're going to be protecting as much as they can here. I mean, so it's going to be a tall order to try to make these passes happen. But I mean, as this run goes on, look at Matt DeCiani going really wide there.
Run just that little bit deep, and he's missed the mark again in 1 and 2, but it's enough that he is able to still get a good drive out on Kenny Powell. And just behind Powell, you've also got Hoffman still waiting in the wings, hungrily looking to try to go after that fourth place once again. And the sun has just about fully set over Martinsville Speedway, and all the lights you see down there are, of course, all the stadium lights around the racetrack. And with that comes in, well, not actually a cooling track temperature. In fact, it's actually gone up a little bit since this race started, 72 degrees. So these drivers really hammering their tires into the pavement. They want to make sure that it can get itself all heated up so it can stay nice and competitive for them throughout the course of the night.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see that too, and I think that's exactly what it is. I think it's just all these tires driving around, all these cars driving around here. I'm watching Al Kozlowski. He seems like he's desperate to try to get around Andrew Layton. Is not able to do it. He keeps looking low, just not able to get there, though. Also, Josh Schaffner been driving his way back a little bit further through the field. He's up to 8th now. But Mark Paget clearly in control. Now has a second of a lead here on Jeff Barnes in second place.
Certainly going up there for second place. And there's the move. Kenny Powell to the inside of DeCiani for third. And DeCiani misses the mark. Hoffman will clear as well. So Matt DeCiani will lose out 2 spots. He's down to 5th. Hoffman's up to 4th. This moves Kenny Powell into a podium position. So now that Powell's not being checked out by DeCiani, can Hoffman still run him down? Of course, Clayton Hoffman was the pole sitter by over almost 0.2 of a second tonight, but that's only a 1-lap pace. Very different than a run over a course of 40, 45 laps.
Yeah, and Clayton hadn't necessarily been the fastest, in 1-lap time here during the actual race. I think he's just consistently fast right now. I mean, his last lap was 19.455, which is not far off of his best lap. I mean, by fastest time, Mark Paget, some of those guys, I think Mark Paget actually does hold the fastest lap here so far tonight with a 19.288. But, you want to be consistently quicker. You don't want to be, turning those really, really fast laps. I mean, that's just burning your tires up. I think DeCiani, you know, we saw him he's been having a lot of issues. I think he's got a really tight race car. Maybe made an adjustment. You know, that's one thing you see a lot after a stage. You see a lot of guys make adjustments to those race cars, try to make them better, and sometimes that adjustment could be the opposite of what you needed.
Couldn't agree with you more on that one. So we'll see how all of these little fights continue to develop as the night kind of goes along. I know Randy Drumhiller just got around Greg Wyszynski for 9th, as well as that, just just up the road, you got Al Kozlowski, Andrew Layton, and Josh Schaffner in a 3-way scrap for 6th place, with all of them trying to get around the Hawaiian Tropic Chevrolet. Oh, look at that! Schaffner trying to go high around Kozlowski. Kozlowski wasn't having any of it, started the track up, and Schaffner was forced to bail out.
Yeah, Schaffner definitely has a lot of speed right now, just not able to capitalize on it. I mean, we talked about Al. He's very fast for sure, but I think Schaffner maybe has a little bit more speed than him right now, and that damage could, you know, actually be affecting him. I mean, you know, he said it was a square hit, still could have maybe messed with some of his toe or something like that. He seems like he's been able to manage it. Schaffner now starting to put a little bit of pressure on him, so that's going to make Al put more pressure on Andrew Layton. I think we're seeing that now. Oh, he clips the curb a little bit there, and that's going to give Schaffner exactly what he needs. And he completes the pass. Josh Schaffner up to 7th.
And down into 7th, or up into 7th place now. So Schaffner slowly on the rise. He is now +4. For himself on the night. Kozlowski, though, has only slipped backwards, so it seems like the damage might be affecting Kozlowski a little bit more than he cares to let on for the time being. As well as this, we've also got Greg Wyszynski and Kendall LeBron in a 2-way fight for 10th and 11th place in the final points paying position for the second stage, but there's a couple of Carlings in between them, so it's not necessarily a fight to write home about for the time being, especially since Sanchez is about to actually unlap himself from Kendall LeBron here. Sanchez has been steadily trying to work his way back up towards the lead lap and has not had a good run. Of course, he had to pit for a penalty at the start of stage 2. We'll see if he can't work his way a little bit further up towards the top end of the field by the time we kind of get things settled into what could be a fierce fight.
I'll tell you what, man, no one can even touch Mark Pageant right now. He is out to almost a 2.5 second lead right now and has just been running fast lap after fast lap. He's the fastest in the field. Seems like every time. I mean, he has got a rhythm.
It most certainly does, and the rhythm is what really, really matters at a track like Martinsville. That is where it is all at, right? It's the rhythm. It is very much a rhythm track. If you find yourself off kilt for one corner, you'll find yourself off kilt for the next, and so on and so forth. The cycle will repeat. If you find yourself out of the groove, you have to find a way to get back in it quickly. We saw this happen with Greg Wyszynski, right? He had one split-second error, and that costed him 3 spots over the next lap and a half because he just couldn't get the hammer down on corner exit.
100%. We just saw Al Kozlowski make a pass back on Josh Schaffner, back up to 7th place. Wow, interesting. So Schaffner, I think, maybe made a mistake, and we talk about mistakes. I mean, all it takes is one, you know, you come into the corner a little too hot, you know, you set yourself up badly for exit, you get a little loose, something that causes you to lose momentum. It could just really hurt you for sure, especially at a track like this. I mean, this is a quintessential rhythm track. I mean, you want to try to hit the same lap every single time around, and it's just so hard to do that when you got all these other drivers around you with different braking points. Different braking points definitely going to be worth talking about here is Mark Pageant catching up here to Mark Sanchez, so going to be probably put down another lap here.
Al Kozlowski and Josh Schaffner have been steadily trading hands back and forth in the battle for 7th place while all of this has been going on. And in fact, they just traded hands again at that last time by through 1 and 2. Really just going to show just how fierce of a fight that is. As well as that, Jeff Barnes up in 4th place and Matt DeCiani. That is a gap that hasn't gone anywhere anytime soon, and that is the battle for 4th place on the racetrack. You've also got Layton, who's just kind of hanging around in the middle of this. So you have to wonder, again, can any of these drivers get close to potentially make up a move for one last point at the end of the second stages? Because remember, after this, the second stage, which is at lap 100, right? That is when it really is all bets are off. That's where you're in it for the long haul if there's no more yellows.
Yeah, of course, Nolan. I mean, definitely got to try to make as many moves as you can, but it's just going to be hard to do. I mean, I think one of the most potential for a move we have out here is Schaffner looking on Andrew Layton here. Definitely looking like he's getting ready to challenge him for position, and that is for a points-paying position in this stage. But Andrew Layton, he's been nothing but consistent. You know, he hasn't made too many mistakes. I have to see if he, see if he makes any. I mean, we talked about before, you know, if Schaffner just stays up in that rearview mirror, really puts some pressure on him, intimidate him.
And intimidating is what you got to do. It's what Josh Schaffner is really good at. He is a follower, not a leader, and he's trying to follow the 84 car, and that 84 trying to just keep Schaffner at bay, but the Hawaiian Tropic Chevrolet has got a big handful ahead of him if he wants to keep Schaffner behind him. Now look at this, Schaffner taking a wide entry, but that's going to allow him to dime it off the corner and get a run down the backstretch. Looks for the inside of 3, but Layton's going to cover him off before Schaffner can properly commit to a dive bomb.
Yeah, and what this is doing for Schaffner is it's making Andrew Layton run a little bit harder. It's making him run harder than he wants to, and that makes it even more of a chance that he's going to make a mistake here. Drive, you know, over the limits of what he's capable of doing. Schaffner trying to size him up once again, but Layton is just covering him off. He is not going to let him go. What a race. These guys are definitely out here fighting right now, and you love to see it.
Oh,
Schaffner getting real tight there.
That was all a bit of a loose tight there, right? I mean, he went in so deep that he got loose, which in turn then got him tight because he had to slow up that much more just to avoid going around. As well as that, Barnes just bobbled out of 4. He's side by side with DeCiani for 4th place now. They're going to go 3 wide for a split second with Sanchez. And this is all starting to kick off with these spots about 4th on back to 7th place. With DeCiani trying to make a run on Jeff Barnes. You've also got Schaffner still applying pressure to Andrew Layton. And all with less than 10 laps to go in the second stage. DeCiani looks low into turn 1. And Jeff Barnes going to swing wide. Is this enough for DeCiani to make the move? Might be dead even down the back stretch. And for turn 3, I think DeCiani's got him.
Yeah, it looks like DeCiani, that one, definitely has him right now. Got to try to keep him there, though. I mean, that Jeff Barnes might try to, you know, do something here, resurgent, but I think Jeff Barnes is going to be trying to keep the guys behind him at bay because this battle, that's one thing about Martinsville. When you fight side by side, it slows you down so much, and all these other guys have started to come back into the picture. You see Layton really starting to catch up here to Jeff Barnes.
Yeah, really
this has definitely injected a lot of excitement into this, Nolan.
Oh, absolutely, and that excitement is exactly what you're looking for. It was single file for so long throughout the first portion of Stage 2, but now you really start to see these fights develop after so long, especially now that this is the longest green flag run so far that we have had in tonight's race, but it could very well be shattered if Stage 3 goes just as green as this one has.
Oh, I mean, if it goes just as green as this one has, we could even maybe see a fuel stop. I mean, these guys have definitely gotten their rhythms down, and they have definitely kicked it up in the high gear. We see Kendall LeBron kind of complicating things a little bit. He's being respectful and staying out of the way of these guys. But you see Al Kozlowski has caught back up to the back of Josh Schaffner, so that battle's not over. There's a lot of positions that are up for grabs right now, and these guys are grabbing right now.
And now Kozlowski lunging low, trying to get around LeBron as quick as he can. Schaffner still applying pressure to Andrew Layton, and this could boil over very quickly. You've also got still that Battered Speedway Angels Chevy that still wants to make a name for itself, trying to see if he can't try to maybe go for a potential 7th place, or maybe even a 6th. How long will it be for Josh gives Layton the bumper? The answer is right there. A small little tap down the back straightaway and into 3.
Yeah, that was just a little tap to let him know he's there. Hey, I'm ready to go, man. You're going to have to let me go or I'm going to have to move you. It's a little warning tap. A little bit of short track etiquette. That was respectful.
And we're going to keep our eyes on this. I will mention that Patchen started the final lap, but Schaffner really trying to close up on Andrew Layton, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get there at this point in time. And Mark Paget going to be coming around through turns 3 and 4 this time by, and he will take the victory in stage number 2. Make that 2 for 2 for the 0-2 machine. All the while, Layton still trying to fend off Schaffner through 3 and 4 as well. It's not going to happen, though, and Andrew Layton holds on.
What a performance for both of those drivers. Really made it very interesting. With some good, clean racing, too. I mean, you didn't see any bad moves from either one of those guys.
And we will continue to stick with things here. We'll let our run a green flag, or yellow flag, excuse me, pit stop cycle on through. But what a second stage. I mean, that was phenomenal. Paget comes to pit road.
Oh, yeah, that was great. I mean, classic Martinsville racing right there. Long green run, too. I mean, I can only hope that we'll see some of the same racing coming up here in this final stage. And if it goes green a long time, I mean, this is going to be wild. Because one thing I was noticing there, I'm curious if Mark Paget was doing it on purpose. Was he started slowing down there on those last couple laps? I mean, was he maybe feeling the wear on those tires? Could have been he was just doing it on purpose just to, celebrate that stage win.
It wouldn't surprise me was the tires. Obviously, tires play such a massive game when it comes to short tracks like this, especially flat tracks like this. I'm thinking it probably was just feeling the wear, as well as Kenny Powell trying to run him down. And Paget will be first out of pit road, and Kenny Powell will be right behind him. How about Hoffman picking up third?
Yeah, definitely a great job from him. I mean, he was fighting with Kenny Powell pretty hard there, but just Kenny has shown a lot of speed here tonight. And I almost feel like, we saw Clayton in the beginning run a lot of the race, in the clean air. Maybe wasn't just used to being behind another person either. I mean, could that be the case? I mean, even though this is a short track, clean air probably doesn't matter as much, but I think it still does play some type of a role, especially through these corners.
And so we'll see what those tires could mean for us as we continue to cycle our way through this very, very long race. Not even halfway, and still a lot of racing left to go. We'll take one more break, and we'll be back with stage 3 in a few.
Ow. Ew. Ow. Ew.
Want relief from tough pain without the tough taste? Try Goody's Cool Orange. Goody's fast, Goody's delicious. Because pain relief shouldn't be a pain to take. Goody's flavors, taking the pain out of pain relief.
Paget, Hoffman, DeCiani, Barnes, Schaffner, Kozlowski. The top 3 rows. Where did Kenny Powell go? How about an unscheduled secondary trip down pit road under the yellow flag?
Yeah, I'm curious what that was about as the pace car down pit road field back into the hands of Mark Paget. And he getting going. He waits. He's trying to, you got to try to keep him guessing here, Nolan.
You most certainly have to do that, and now Mark Paget is going to be well and truly clear for the race lead. Hoffman down in second place. He'll no doubt be trying to fight hard to take that race lead back early. And now that he doesn't have Kenny Powell in his way, I imagine he's going to be willing to go after Paget that much harder. Jeff Barnes side by side with Schaffner through turns 3 and 4, but Schaffner will pull clear, and Jeff Barnes will have to settle in for 5th place on the day. You've also got Andrew Layton, Randy Drumhiller just behind. They're going to trade hands for the 7th place. And back there is Kenny Powell working his way back up through the field.
I really am curious on what his thought process was there on going down pit road like that. Last second, a little bit of more gas is the only thing I could think of, but I just don't see why that would be worth it.
I have a very strong feeling that the reason that is the case, maybe he made an adjustment that he didn't mean to make, forgot to put something into the car. That's really the only thing I could realistically think about as to why he would have had to come down pit road a second time. I'll continue to dig around on that and see if I can figure out kind of what the deal was throughout all of that. You know what? How about damage repairs? He does have a bit of a scuff on the right-hand side.
Could be that, yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know, though. I mean, just considering how important track position is here, I just don't think I would give that up.
It's worth noting, though, he has not had nearly as much pace that he had in the first 2 stages. So, I think it very well may have been for that damage. I think that's what has really been hampering Powell here in this 3rd stage so far, and I think that's why he came down pit road. So I'm sure he won't complain about another caution so we can get the rest of it fixed, provided he's not the one that causes it.
Well, I don't know. It's got all the looks of a green race right now. He is starting to put some pressure on Andrew Layton. You see Josh Schaffner having a little bit of pressure put on him by Jeff Barnes. Al Kozlowski's right there waiting in the wings. So big battles going on here for this top 5.
So this could kind of mean something for these battles a bit further back as well, right? Because as soon as they go side by side before the throw, oh! Layton into the inside wall on the back straightaway. He's going to spin back up onto the track, and the caution is out. And that's the yellow flag that Powell was hoping for.
Oh, Lord. I'm glad Andrew Layton didn't go up any further than he did. He almost got Mark Sanchez there. That was scary.
Take a look. This one. Was there contact between the two? No, there was not. Just looped it by himself into the inside wall, and I think spun the tires when he tried to kind of regain lost ground. And like you mentioned, very lucky that he slammed the brakes when he did.
Yeah, I bet Mark Sanchez was a little worried. I mean, there was barely enough room for a car to even get through there. So lucky for him, and that's going to be some substantial damage, though, on Sanchez. You know, hitting that inside wall like that, not going to be, that car's probably not going to be handling right anymore.
There's on board with Layton, and holy cow, that could have been so much worse than it ended up being.
Yeah, Sanchez was almost full bore right there, too. That would have definitely been a bad hit. But luckily, that did not happen. A lot of guys taking advantage of that caution, though. Kendall LeVron back on the lead lap. And he's going to take a trip down pit road here.
And so Layton, Sanchez, LeVron are the current drivers in pit road, along with the likes of Paul Olsen. But Olsen has been down there for some time now. He is now 39 laps down at the moment. Before that, Drumhill and Wachinski were the drivers down in the into pit road. So a couple of guys making some little strategy calls here or there, but nothing really mind-blowing for the time being. Just more coming on in, getting a little bit of a top-up on fuel.
Yeah, we're starting to get to that fuel window, too. So, I mean, I suspect if we have another caution in like 20 laps, we'll see everybody go down and be good on fuel to the end. Probably won't see any more pit stops unless tires just really are that important. Which, I mean, I do believe they are very important. I just don't know whether it's worth it to actually risk it to pit for tires if a caution does not come out once these guys have pitted, you know, in that fuel window. But Mark Pageant definitely has been the dominant force here so far tonight. I mean, won both stages. Definitely been showing up. Triad has been showing up here tonight. Especially you got you know, other Triad drivers doing pretty good out here tonight too. You know, Jeff Barnes right now in 5th. I mean, Matt DeCiani in 3rd there.
Absolutely. I mean, it has been a very exciting night, and it's been a challenging night for a lot of drivers out there, and we'll hope that we can kind of get through this race without too many more yellows. Now, that's something that these drivers are typically very, very good with, is getting through races like these ones where you can see 10, 20, maybe even 30 cautions for a race of equal distance in NIS or in A Opens. Well, not here so far. We're down to just 2 for actual crashes over the course of the night. Pace cars down and in, and Mark Padgett takes us back to green flags. Hoffman trying to fight back on entry to turn 1. Not going to happen. Getting a bit close, though, for third between DeCiani and Schaffner down the backstretch.
And one thing about it, too, Nolan, as this race goes on, we're going to see these guys get more and more intense, more frustrated, more stressed out. This is a tough track on your body, too. I mean, pressing that brake, you have to press that brake very hard. And every 19 seconds, you have to press it hard twice. I mean, that left foot can get a cramp. But DeCiani, Schaffner fighting side by side. Sorry, Nolan.
I was just going to say, Jeff Barnes trying to wiggle around a little bit, maybe seeing if he can't find a way to split the both of them, but I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, 3 wide really is just not something that really ever works out at Martinsville unless you have the kindest people you've ever met on the iRacing service, and you still have the iRacing netcode gods kind of yield in your favor.
Yeah, 3 wide is not something you ever see really at Martinsville for sure. I mean, maybe in an Indy car or something like that, it might be possible, considering those guys might not have to brake as much for these corners. But, the bottom line is the ultimate line. So you're not going to see anybody willing to risk to take it 3 wide unless they're trying to avoid a wreck. I think that would be the only reason I would see someone try to take it 3 wide in Martinsville. DeCiani and Schaffner still battling back and forth. Schaffner now up to 3rd place. Now Kenny Powell up to the back bumper of the 1 car.
And that got a little bit hectic there, and there was a little bit of a rub, and now Powell's going to make good. Shoves his way to the inside of DeCiani, and he will get clear as they exit turn number 2 down the back straightaways. That's a 4th place gain for Powell. Jeff Barnes attacking Kozlowski as well. He'll pick up 6th, and we are now 125 down, 125 to go from Martinsville, Virginia.
And also the fight for the lead has been heating up here. Clayton is right on the back bumper of Mark Padgett right now. This is going to start heating up here soon.
And these two are just breaking away like mad. I mean, there's like, what, a second and a half between them?
Yeah, they're definitely running away. A second and a half back to 3rd place for sure. Clayton, I mean, I'm telling you what, we talk about people getting in your rearview mirror and intimidating you. If I saw that black car coming up behind me, I mean, he looks almost like Dale Earnhardt's paint scheme in a way. I mean, I don't know. I'd be a little worried, Nolan.
It looks like Hoffman might have burned it up, though, trying to get to him because he has started to drop back. The gap is now about 4/10. It was down to just 2 a couple of laps ago. So Mark Padgett must have found something in that car to allow him to start to pull a little bit further away from the Legacy Esports number 92 Chevrolet, unless it's a little bit of a ploy and Hoffman's got something else up his sleeves in that Toyota Camry. So what do you think it is? Do you think Hoffman's lying in wait, or do you think Padgett's actually pulling away?
I don't know. I mean, I really think that maybe Clayton is just lying in wait, saving some of his equipment. I think that might be what he's doing. But, I mean, he was going really high, like he was trying really hard, driving it in deep. So I don't know if he is trying to save his equipment. But, I believe he's got himself a good setup tonight. I just think that Padgett's able to really determine the pace of this. And, he has that, front position. Anytime you're in the lead, you're going to be not burning up quite as much tire as that guy behind you a lot of times. So, especially because even though, like I said, the clean air effect here is, minimal, but it still is there, I do believe, especially with, you need as much downforce as you can going through these corners. And when you have a little bit of, a little bit of breeze on that front, it really helps out.
Now we can see Kenny Powell trying to pressure Josh Schaffner, the 24 G&G Camry, starting to make a run on his teammate right in front of him. Looks for the inside. Oh, that's a bit too far back, though. He's only going to cost himself in the process. Josh Schaffner pulls clear again. out of turn 2, down the back straightaway. So Kenny Powell can try all he wants, but that's going to be very, very difficult to try to make the run there on Josh Hoffner. This is, of course, one of the most notorious tracks on the schedule when it comes to difficult overtakes. In fact, it is not uncommon to be seeing overtakes taking sometimes over a lap to complete.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, and especially, so difficult to make that pass on the top. You see him try to look up there, see if he can get some speed. But like you even mentioned earlier, if you don't do it right, it's going to be very difficult to maintain momentum up there. The shortest way around the track is going to be the best at this racetrack. So that's why I think, it's just so frustrating that short track mentality really just rears its head here at this track. Kenny, when you sit behind someone for long enough, just the same thing with Clayton, you sit behind someone for long enough, you feel like you're faster than them, I can't pass them, that bumper might start to become more of a viable option,
And now we'll continue to see how this fight develops. And hello, swap was just made for the race lead. Mark Padgett, I think, got a huge tank slapper out of the final corner and just decided to let Hoffman have it. Didn't see a point and really trying to fight him out all that much after that happened. Wasn't going to be able to keep him at bay after that one, so just decided best not to fight and then let him take that. So Hoffman finally back to the race lead.
Yeah, it looks like he just got a little loose there, lost a lot of momentum and just had to let Clayton go. Unfortunate there. But now Clayton, going to be where he needs to be. I mean, he's probably going to just pull away from here knowing him. I mean, especially with him, Padgett losing it like that, probably heated up those tires quite a bit. But still the fight on for fourth place, or third place, I should say. Schaffner still under fire from Kenny Powell. Powell just has not been able to figure out a way.
And now, yeah, you mentioned he hasn't been able to find a way, but I think now that he's been having quite a few laps to kind of assess Schaffner's defense, he might be able to work his way on closing in just a little bit more. He's been trying to make these lunges to the inside line, and realistically, that's not going to happen unless he is right on Schaffner's bumper as they leave these corners. And right now, that's not happening. So Kenny Powell is going to have to find a way to get up there quickly if he wants to have any shot on being able to make that pass work.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be impossible for him to try to get underneath Schaffner unless Schaffner makes a mistake. That's literally the only way he's going to be able to try to get underneath him. And he could try to dive underneath there, but there might not be room. I mean, that's one risk you're going to have to take. I mean, you get frustrated from sitting behind someone for so long. I mean, Kenny Powell might take real estate that's not there. This is pretty much the only battle going on right now. Everybody else pretty much spread out.
It is very, very spread out at this point in time. I mean, just as Hoffman crossed the start finish, Sanchez, which is the last running car in the actual running order of things at the moment, hadn't even left turn 2 yet. So it is at the point where the field is almost spread out around the entire race. We've got about 2/3 of it covered for the time being. And that means that fight for third is the closest one we got out there on the track.
Mark Padgett has been starting to close in a little bit here on Clayton Hoffman. It was about a second in between those two. Padgett now turned into 19.783 last time by, was able to cut into it quite a bit. Could we see a resurgence here from Padgett?
I think it might be a bit difficult for Mark Padgett to be able to really take that spot back because while he may have been faster the last time by, overall it does look like Hoffman has been the quicker of the two of them. So Padgett, I think, has got his work cut out for him, and I have a feeling that this race is now Clayton Hoffman's to lose now that he is over a second clear of Mark Padgett. So I think that really is going to leave Padgett in a little bit of a no man's land because he's pulling away from the battle for third place as well. But he's not gaining anything on the race leaders either.
Yeah, but one thing we got to keep in mind, though, we've already seen Clayton make a mistake here tonight. Could it happen again? Definitely could. I mean, this track is very temperamental. You go into one corner like you did the last time, you did, and you go, maybe even just a little too hard, and you find that car spinning around. I mean, Clayton, he might seem like Superman, but he still can make mistakes. Man, I just love to see these brakes when they light up red like that, Nolan. It's just insane to see that. I mean, that's how it is in real life, too. I mean, that's why I always wanted to go to Martinsville, because, like, being under the lights and seeing those brakes just glowing red hot.
Yeah, those brake discs are not necessarily going to be cooling off anytime soon. You mentioned how much they glow in the dark. Well, it's not about to not be the case, right? Because right when you think they might get a chance to cool off, nope, there's another braking zone for you. So I do love how they glow. It does actually look spectacular, even under stadium lights, if not under a complete darkness. But it really does show just how much these brakes get heated up at. I mean, you have to realize, you touch that with your hand at the moment, that's red hot metal. You would find yourself getting second, if not third degree
It's
burn.
like 1,300 degrees, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it actually is. It's somewhere along those lines. It heats up astronomically quickly.
Oh, yeah. And that's why you see a lot of brake failures at Martinsville and stuff like that, I mean, because, and it just shows you, too, if you look at it, I mean, at these cars right now, the front brakes are the ones that's lighting up. You don't see the rear. So that shows the majority of the braking these guys are doing bias-wise, brake bias-wise, is on the front.
Can you imagine if it was a bit of a situation where I lost my train of thought, so I'm going to cut myself off on that one real quickly here. And I'll come back to that if I manage to get it back. But the battle's on for 5th place. Al Kozlowski trying to chase down Matt Tisiani.
I'm telling you, man, Al Kozlowski, he's been the picture of persistence here tonight. Even with that damage, he's been still sticking around, hanging out. I mean, that's what you got to do. I mean, at a racetrack like this, if I was able to come home in 6th, I'd be pretty dang happy, considering how usually you come out of this race probably on a rollback.
I got my train of thought back. Can you imagine what those brake discs would look like if it was 250 laps around the LA Coliseum?
Oh, yeah. I'm guaranteeing they would be probably white hot instead of red hot.
Oh, Powell just about got to shot number 3rd, and they both bobbled out of turn 4, but it wasn't enough for Powell to make the lunge, and in fact, that cost him a little bit of time, but he's starting to get just that little bit closer. So what are we thinking at this point in time? How long do you think it'll be before Powell gets to the point where he decides enough is enough, I want that spot more than you want to keep it?
Yeah, I mean, I already broadcasted one here at Martinsville before, and I even said it in that broadcast. This is teammates don't matter at Martinsville. I mean, you could be racing with your teammate, be best friends, but as soon as you come onto this racetrack, Martinsville, you're gonna see the worst side of each other, and you might not talk to each other for a couple weeks after this race.
When we talked about pit strategies earlier on, you mentioned the possibility of having actual fuel stops in this race. Of course, the fuel window is roughly 120 laps, but that is a really big give or take across that long of a fuel run at a track like this. And I think that could have a very big hand in how this race could play out. Because obviously 120 laps, for the last time some of these guys pit, I should say, on around lap 115, 116, that would mean those drivers are not going to be stopping until around lap 135, give or take a few. That's only 15 laps to go in this race. That's not a long time at all. I honestly don't think these drivers will be stopping for fuel. I think it's going to be a question about tires more often than not, which is where we could be seeing some guys looking to come into pits. And if that's the case, I would expect to see some guys coming in maybe within the next 20 laps or so.
Yeah, it could be a definite possibility. I mean, I'm a little apprehensive about that. Just consider, I mean, yeah, these guys are falling off. I mean, the fastest times Clayton Hoffman was hitting earlier in the race, 19.331. His lap time's now 19.955. So there is definitely some fall off going on. Is it enough to warrant a pit stop, though? This is a short track. When you pit here, you're probably going to go 2 laps down. That's what makes me a little apprehensive and concerned about it. I mean, guys will probably take that option, though.
It depends if everybody else is going to take that option, right? I mean, do you want to really take that gamble? Because obviously, you're not going to be able to make up 2 laps on fresh rubber. It doesn't matter how fast you are. It's not going to happen. You're going to burn the tires out before you can even get back 1 full lap, right? Oh, hello. Schaubner really loose, and there it is. Powell back to the podium.
Yeah, Powell back up to 3rd right now. Can he catch up here to Mark Pageant? I don't believe he's going to be able to. About 2 seconds separate those guys. But I'll tell you what, I have been just so impressed with Mark Pageant here tonight. He has been sticking right there with Clayton.
It really has, and I mean, Clayton Hoffman has not shown any signs of wanting to go anywhere anytime soon. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Pageant may have lost the lead a long time ago, but he's kept within about 9/10 to a second or so. But this is also what I was talking about in the no man's land. He's not gaining on the leader, but he's not falling back either. He is pulling away slightly from 3rd place still. But he's not quick enough to be able to actually go and battle for any of these positions again. So he's just kind of stuck there. And that's very, very frustrating, knowing that you are up there and you're only not there, quite possibly because of your own mistake.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, I mean, we could see something happen. Oh, someone down pit road taking a green flag stop.
That's Wachinski down in pit road from 10th. He'll lose a lap. So it looks like Wachinski could be the driver who will be kicking off our run of green flag pit stops that we were looking for. This is with what will be 80 laps to go in about 2 laps time. Now we'll see, is anybody going to dare to come down and join him?
I don't know. I feel like these guys are going to go stay out as long as they possibly can. I mean, this is just pitting under green here at a short track. It's just, I mean, it's just not something that a lot of these guys are going to want to do. But I mean, if your car, I mean, this next gen car, you know, the tires might be wearing different. I know, you know, if you were maybe in an Xfinity or a truck, you might. I think you would gamble just staying out as long as you possibly can. But this Xfinity, I mean, the tires are different. So could we see something different because of that? You know, maybe the tires are going to be not playing with these guys as good as they'd want. I mean, could we even see the possibility of a blown tire? I mean, we've seen it before.
I believe Mark Sanchez mentioned he might be coming in the pit road pretty soon here as well. I know Jeff Barnes just let Randy Drumhiller through in the fight for 7th place, and that'll put Barnes down to 8th, really sideways for Barnes out of the corner. And that actually could cause him to lose out to Andrew Layton here as well. The Hawaiian Tropic Chevy starting to really gain on him, and now actually backed off a little bit. Interesting call there from Andrew Layton. Didn't want to actually go for the fight and instead just backed off and let Barnes get more than enough room to recover himself.
Yeah, Andrew Layton known for being a good guy, you know, fast, but definitely respectful, that 84. So not a surprise there, and surprised to see him doing as well as he is right now, just considering, you know, we saw that huge hit on the inside wall earlier from him.
Yeah, and I think that little wall hit is what has kept Andrew Layton from being able to really battle back properly for some of these positions that he really has been wanting to get, no doubt, throughout the course of this race. I mean, you get that kind of damage. I mean, it wasn't a hard hit, but it was by no means a soft hit either. I think it was just enough to kind of knock the car around just a bit, so he lost just a little bit of speed. Kind of LeBron, the next driver, into pit road from 10th.
Yeah, that's another car that I'm surprised is running. I mean, he does not even have a front end, and that 00 has definitely been persistent here tonight, you know, sticking with it. I'm curious. I mean, is this going to start setting off some other guys to take a trip down? I mean, especially when you see someone come out with those fresh tires, you see how quick they are compared to you. I mean, we've seen fall off really starting to rear its ugly head here. I mean, most of the field is hitting, you know, low 20-second laps right now.
Low 20-second laps, that's about where you'd expect drivers to be once the tires really start to settle in. I mean, even overall race leader Clayton Hoffman is hitting those low 20s. I mean, he still gets a couple of high 19s here or there, but I mean, he's gotten one high 19 on 176, just 4 thousandths off of a 22nd time.
Jeff Barnes is down pit road.
Jeff Barnes into the lane. Now, that isn't as much a surprise. We've seen him get quite a bit loose several times over the last little while. And Andrew Layton going to be coming on in as well. There goes Hoffman, the lap. Elijah Grabowczyński. How about that fight for 10th place, actually? LeBron starting to bring the fight to the gas and go driver, Greg Wyszynski. And we'll look for the inside in a 1. And LeBron fights his way back to the top 10.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of drama between those two guys earlier in this race. Looks like they got that worked out. But, I mean, this is really a big sign that a lot of these guys are about to pit. There goes Schaffner. Yeah, that is a sign. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, Nolan. I didn't think these guys would pit. But you were right. Look at that. Green flag pit stops happening at Martinsville. I mean, this is like a 4-leaf clover. You never see that, you know?
So Schaffner is in. Layton is just leaving. Jeff Barnes still in pit road with a black flag.
Oh,
so
no.
Barnes, I'd imagine, caught speeding from the looks of things, and that would be a hefty penalty. He got his service done, and pit road speed limit is about 35 miles an hour, and sure enough, speeding that was 48 when he hit the entry. That's
wow.
13 over. No wonder.
Yeah, no wonder. And that's going to be a hefty fine. I mean, 40 seconds you got to sit in this pit box, especially when these guys are out here turning 20-second laps. I mean, that's at least 2 laps down.
And that's a race over. That's a killer right there. I mean, he would need a plethora of lucky dogs, even be in contention to be able to go after a couple of good positions again.
And this has been such a caution-free race that this is not happening. I mean, at a normal Martinsville race, you see in the officials, you could be 10 laps down and still somehow find your way back on the lead lap with usually how that rolls. This has not been that kind of race.
It really hasn't. I mean, we talked about it earlier about how we expected this race to have a few more cautions than normal. It's actually had less cautions than Richmond 1 week ago. How does that work? That's unheard of on the iRacing service.
It really is. I mean, that is something to be proud of.
I mean, yeah, for Martinsville at least, but it makes you wonder what went so wrong at Richmond.
I don't know. Those guys are definitely, they were out for blood at Richmond. What a race it has been. You see Kendall LeBron, I think he's on the new tires. He's trying to catch Clayton and maybe get a lap back here. Even with that heavily damaged machine, he's running right there on him. I mean, I think those new tires really are going to be useful.
DeCiani is in the pit road this time by. So, yeah, one more comes into the lane. It does look like, for the most part, drivers are wanting to come on in around the halfway point in the second, well, these, I guess I should say these final stints to make sure that they can't kind of get themselves sorted with fresh tires at the end. Once again, tires, the name of the game, and unlike Barnes, DeCiani gets in and out of pit road without any penalties. Barnes, by the way, is back out on the race course, but he is 4 laps down. That has got to hurt.
I'll tell you what, who has a really good chance to make up a lot of positions here if everybody ends up having to pit. Josh Schaffner. He's only 6 laps on his stint right now, and he is only 1 lap down. He would be the lucky dog here, and he is running some very, very fast laps compared to the rest of the field. Half a second quicker. There goes Mark Padgett down pit road.
Mark Padgett and race leader Clayton Hoffman just pitted. Powell is into pit road. Kozlowski is entering pit road. So here comes everybody else that we were just waiting on to come on into pit road. So now we shouldn't be seeing the likes of these drivers be able to fight properly, except for Drumhiller. Drumhiller stays out, and he'll take the race lead away, I'm pretty sure, because of this.
I'm telling you, I mean, some off-the-wall strategies here could pay off. I mean, we talked about how much of a penalty it was to just go down pit road at all. If Drumhiller somehow saves enough, I don't know if he's going to save enough to make it on fuel, but, like, I mean, if a caution comes out late in this thing, Drumhiller could be in really good position. Especially if he's able to lock a lot of these guys a lap down. It does look like Schaffner is back on the lead lap. Clayton back on the racetrack. I thought Schaffner, because he pitted earlier, he would maybe have made a lot of time up on Clayton. I think he did, but just not enough to get in front of him. Clayton Hoffman doing a great job. He's right in third right now. Kenny Powell's back on the racetrack in front of Clayton. I'm curious, how did that happen?
Potential very, very slow pit stop. And in fact, kind of going to look through now just to kind of see what went so wrong. And, oh, hello here. I know why. Powell took fuel only.
Wow, that is a crazy gamble there. He's going to be much slower than Clayton right now. Clayton is going to have no problems getting by him. I don't know if I like that call. If you're going to decide to go down there, you might as well just take tires, because the tires have been a lot here tonight.
And already Hoffman, yeah, it is Hoffman, excuse me, that's right on the back of Kenny Powell. Powell's pushing wide, and that's going to force Hoffman to bail back down low. Drag race down for turn number 1, and Hoffman's going to pull clear. Nothing really that Powell could do to fight that one out, but it was a good effort on his part to try to make that happen.
No, I mean, that was a bold call. I mean, Kenny had, you know, he was thinking outside the box by not taking tires there. It just didn't work out for him. I mean, that's the nature of racing. You gotta sometimes make wild calls to try to see if you can get a win, you know. I think that's what Randy Drumhiller is doing right now. He's still out in the lead. But, I mean, with Clayton's pace, I wouldn't even be surprised if Clayton even catches Randy Drumhiller.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Randy Drumhiller, don't forget, has yet to pit as well under this latest stint. So he still has to make a pit stop. So the fact that he's holding on to the race lead, we know that's not going to last. It's only going to be a matter of time for either he pits or Hoffman gets by him regardless. I think there's only
or a caution. A caution could happen.
True. I think that's what Drumhiller is hoping for. Stay out there long enough that a caution comes down and kind of saves him from the buzzer. Josh Schaffner now, who is also on fresh tires, looking to attack Kenny Powell, and he's got Mark Padgett right behind him as well.
Yeah, Padgett is not going to be slacking here. He's going to try to even get Josh Schaffner. Oh, getting a little tight on exit there. He still is able to get underneath Kenny Powell. Man, what a call there, not taking tires. That was not a good call. He is just losing position. I mean, he could have took those tires and probably been contending for a top 3. I mean, Kenny's been fast all night long, and it's just something, you know, kind of a head scratcher right there, Nolan. And already Clayton Hoffman has caught up to Randy Drumhiller, you know, or has gotten, you know, nailed down that lead a little bit here. I mean, he was just 8 seconds behind him. Now already about 5 seconds. I mean, wow, 3 seconds that quickly.
Yeah, already, you mentioned the fact that it's within 8 seconds, and that gap is continuing to shrink from 6 seconds that last time by to 5.3. Drumhiller is no longer safe in the race lead. It's only a matter of time before Drumhiller folds, and we'll see that battle for the race lead come to fruition. Mark Padgett is caught up with Josh Schaffner as well. The fight for third place starting to pick up as well as Padgett's Triad 02 tries to break past the Pledge number 50.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say that fight is really starting to heat up. Schaffner and Padgett definitely duking it out. The corn man versus the caterpillar man. And it looks like Padgett, he's got some speed here. I'm wondering, you know, he's had speed all night. I'm wondering, you know, maybe if he made some adjustments there. I mean, he has been the second fastest car, so I would not be surprised to see him really. Oh, there he goes, diving on the inside. I think he's going to try to take this position away. Schaffner's just going to let him go. He's like, I can't fight this guy.
So Schaffner breaks clear, and that will allow us to turn our tunes back up to the top 2 as Clayton Hoffman still trying to run down Randy Drumhiller. It was 2.4 at the top of the lap, and you can see on the left-hand side down to 1.3. That gap continuing to close in by over a second every single lap. He's going to be there, and he's going to get by him within about 3 laps here at the most.
Yeah, definitely going to have a little bit of a challenge here, though, with that lap traffic of Mark Sanchez. But Randy Drumhiller able to get clear. Both of those guys able to get clear. Drumhiller's got to be praying right now. Like, please, caution. Please. Please.
It's not going to happen. Hoffman's caught him, looks low. Drumhiller doesn't try to fight it. He's going to stay high, and Hoffman sweeps through into the race lead.
And it won't be long until Mark Padgett and company catches him too. I mean, they're only about 2.5 seconds back from Randy Drumhiller, and they are running about just as fast as Clayton Hoffman is. What an exciting race this has been. I mean, this is almost like ISCA history right here. I mean, to see a Martinsville race go this green.
It's a record for me, to say the very least. So we're now closing in on these final laps here in tonight's race for the Goodies 250. Kenny Powell still under fire. Matt DiCiani is going to try to find a way through. This is the fight for 5th place. And that's going to bump Kenny Powell out of the top 5. So as we continue to watch these laps close on in, why don't we take a ride on board with one of these drivers in the mid-pack? Let's ride on board with DiCiani here, see what he can't do to try to run down Josh Shofter, who's several seconds up the road. Randy Drumhiller starting to falter just that little bit more. He is still yet to come into pit. And that is going to allow Al Kozlowski to sweep through and pick up a 5th place. Whoa, he's run deep, though. And that almost allowed Drumhiller to cut back on him.
He looked like he was getting, Al Kozlowski went in a little too hard there, was getting a little loose on exit there. Luckily, he was able to keep that together, make that position. But Clayton Hoffman right now out in the lead here. 4.5 seconds on Mark Pageant. Pageant has been starting to catch him here a little bit. I think Clayton maybe tires starting to wear again.
I think that could very well be the case. Obviously, a lot of these drivers that pitted for those fresh tires pitted some time ago. So I think that's kind of the case that a lot of the drivers are having to struggle with is the fact that the tires are really starting to fall off big time, especially as we get set to go closer and closer towards the end of this race, which, by the way, we are now going to be just 25 laps away from. So where has the time gone?
Greg Wachinski having an issue. He almost caused a caution there. Got it back going there. I don't know if you want to take a quick look back at what just happened there.
Whoa, you're not kidding. Looks like he maybe got loose in 1 and 2. Take a look at the replay. Just lost control mid-corner, slammed the brakes, and then I like that he let it roll to avoid checking up DeCiani. He did get into the inside wall a little bit, but hey, no harm, no foul when it comes to cautions to the rest of the field.
Yeah, that definitely could have been would have changed everything here tonight if that had been the case. Looking like it's going to stay green to the end, but I mean, still, the potential of a caution is always there. I mean, until you get that white flag, I mean, you always have to worry about that. Like, Clayton, that's got to be on his mind right now. And so he's having to deal with some more lap traffic. It looks like he's going to be putting Andrew Layton another lap down. He's catching up here to Kenny Powell, maybe even put him a lap down. So what a call for Kenny to not take those tires. It really hurt him so badly. I mean, he's about to go a lap down because of it.
And Hoffman's about to catch a huge wave of traffic here. I mean, he's got Wachinski, Layton, Powell, Drumhiller, all back to back to back to back, and he's got to work his way steadily through all of them. This has got to be nerve-wracking as a lead lap car, right? Because you have to really trust yourself that you're not, that these guys, or that you know where these guys are going to brake, and more importantly, the guy behind you is going to misjudge where they're going to be braking because you're working your way by them.
Oh, it's definitely Andrew Layton getting real loose on entry there. It's always going to be a concern for Clayton. I mean, because anything could happen here. One guy, maybe doesn't even know you're there or something like that, catching up. I mean, Kenny Powell, is he going to let him go? He's definitely going to fight as hard as he can to stay on the lead lap. But, I mean, at this point, what kind of tools does Kenny even have to try to hold someone off?
I want to point out that remember how we were talking about how much Clayton Hoffman had to try to run down Randy Drumhiller when Drumhiller hadn't stopped yet and Hoffman was 18 seconds back? He's about to lap him. So I think it's one of those things where Hoffman's at this point, he's like, it's no big deal. This is just what it's like for me running there on the racetrack. And I'll be honest.
Wachinski loses it again. And this is a caution waiting to happen here for Wachinski. I mean, he is not having a good time right now.
Well, back it up and look at it again. And was the identical error? How about carbon copy of it? Loops it around near the exit, lets it roll. And Drumhiller has just gone a lap down. And I have to wonder why Drumhiller has not come down yet. He cannot make it to the end of this race. That much is known for a fact. Why bother staying out there where everybody else around you is already coming to pit road? You're already a lap down. I mean, I think the ship has kind of sailed if you thought you were going for some kind of fuel strategy.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, Kenny Powell getting around him too, So, yeah, I agree. I think he's just hoping for a caution because, I mean, if he pits, he's going to go down even more laps, and that's going to be something he can't get back if another caution comes out. So, I think he's just waiting to the last minute, running that tank dry, it seems like.
And as we get set to work our way a bit further into the close stages of this race, it is worth noting that while this race may have gone relatively caution-free, save for a couple of two kind of isolated incidents, next week I don't think we're expecting it to go the same way. Of course, it's Bristol Dirt over in Tennessee, and dirt racing is an interesting skill that one has to master. It is the wild card race of the season. I would be very, very surprised if we didn't have more than 3 cautions at least for wrecks, even though there's only half the race distance that we got here at Martinsville.
And, you know, also the next gen car untested really on the dirt, really gonna be a tricky thing for these guys as we see Clayton Hoffman getting around Greg Wachinski. We assume Wachinski has been just having a tear. Oh, he loses it again. Oh, catches it though. That was scary. I mean, Wachinski is just all out of sorts right now. Yeah, that's going to be exciting. I can't wait to see what that looks like. I mean, love dirt racing, and I did see the NASCAR where they did practice with the next gen, you know, at Bristol Dirt, and it looked really good. I'm curious how that's going to translate here to the simulator and how these guys are going to be able to tackle that sort of a challenge.
Dirt racing is by far one of the most exciting forms of motorsports there is, especially on those tightly packed half-mile dirt ovals or under. And that's, of course, when we're still talking about things like, you know, sprint cars, late models, modifieds, the cars that are designed to race on dirt. And then you throw in the chaos of stock cars, which are made to race on about every type of track ever except dirt. It kind of makes you wonder what kind of a race you could be in for.
I think it'll be exciting. I mean, you know, especially, you know, Bristol Dirt. I know, you know, in the NASCAR, they've done it before. Bristol's put the dirt on the racetrack. I think they learned a lot of lessons from it. Hopefully, iRacing maybe make some tweaks and stuff like that. I'm not sure how, you know, that they know what the next gen is going to behave like on a dirt track. So I'm curious to see what we're going to see. I think it's up in the air, kind of mystery right now on how it is going to look as Clayton Hoffman crosses the line. 5 laps to go.
I tell you what, I mean, this race has just flown by. I mean, we've only been at it for about an hour and a half, which is about on par, but we were expecting this race to be much, much longer, especially when you consider 250 laps, right? I mean, it's no small
the
feat.
caution machine Martinsville. I mean, you expect 250 laps in Martinsville to be just caution filled, but that was not the case.
I mean, races here usually take upwards of, you know, maybe an hour 45, 2 hours, even up of 2, if you get unlucky enough. But that has not been the case, and I am very, very impressed with the types of battles that we've been seeing so far over the course of the day.
Yeah, these guys definitely have been putting it all on the line. I mean, this is not, you know, a track that people like to race at usually. I mean, just because of how frustrating it can be. I mean, this place just gives you anxiety when you even think about it. I mean, but these guys have rose to the occasion, you know, really have raced each other clean. We haven't seen any, you know, a lot of times you see a lot of people using their bumpers to move people out of the way, but not seeing that tonight. White flag is out.
Final lap. Clayton Hoffman, several seconds clear of Mark Padgett, who has got nothing to worry about. Hoffman's going to come around turns 3 and 4. He spun out early on, but he fought back, and he will win in dominant fashion. Hoffman takes the Goodies 250 and wins himself a clock in Richmond.
Yeah, definitely going to be a proud moment there for Clayton Hoffman winning that clock. I mean, this is not easy. I mean, that is a treasured, you know, trophy that you win at this track. I mean, I bet those clocks go for quite a large sum of money, but I mean, he's going to get him we're going to send him a digital GIF of a clock. We're not going to send him an actual clock.
Should send like a dollar store watch just for the fun of it. At any rate, Clayton Hoffman is the race winner of the Goodies 250 with Mark Padgett in second. Josh Schaffner finished 11th, started 11th, then went to 3rd. Most spots came for Schaffner on the day to finish off with the podium. Matt Young is 4th. Al Kozlowski was the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Kenny Powell is in 6th with Angela Layton in 7th. Drup Miller is 8th. Kendall LeBron is 9th. Greg Wachinski rounds out the top 10.
Mark Sanchez going to finish 11th, 8 laps down. 12th, Jeff Barnes. 13th, Paul Olson. 14th, Greg Bartlett. 15th, Wayne Grossi. And that rounds out our 15-car field here tonight. I want to give another huge shout-out to Chris Severa for helping us with the race control here tonight. I know it was probably a difficult task. And also shout-out to Rob down there behind the cameras.
Well, with that, it's just about time that we get set for the post-race show. But before we do that, we'll see if we can dial up your race winner over the course of the night. And, I mean, what a run it was for Clayton Hoffman, who kind of lost it early, but he managed to fight back. And, Clayton, when you lost it early on, what did you think would end up happening? Did you imagine yourself to still be out there on the top step of the podium by the end?
Definitely knew I had the speed. The problem was getting it under control. For whatever reason, with this 75% fuel tank or something with the track, it was just extremely loose for me. I spent the whole time in practice pretty much trying to tighten it up. Thought I had it at a good place, and yeah, managed to self-spun at the beginning of the race. So I was kind of nervous. Made some pit road adjustments. Wasn't sure if they'd work. Turned out they worked really well, and I was able to move on forward.
So what was it like overall for you out there, having to work your way back through the field, knowing this is one of the most difficult tracks to overtake on, especially when the race didn't have as many yellows as I think a lot of us were expecting it to?
There wasn't a ton of cars that were here tonight, unfortunately, so I wasn't super worried. It was kind of emphasized that we needed to try to give each other space because we didn't want a bunch of cautions. And everyone was really, just doing that, giving a lot of space, not really worrying about pushing it into corners, making a pass at the beginning of a run. Everyone was just kind of finding their own groove and letting each other by whenever someone, caught them.
And what are your thoughts coming on over into Bristol, Tennessee? It's not the traditional Bristol Motor Speedway. It's dirt track time. You got any hopes you'll be able to come out on top over there as well?
Unfortunately, next week's another Road to Pro week. So, yeah, I'm only here every other week for the next couple weeks still. So we'll be racing the trucks on the concrete at Bristol. So I'm sure we're going to be fast like we were at Richmond. Hopefully I get a better result than I did at Richmond. But no, I'm sure it'll be cool to watch the cars on the dirt. I'll be sure to watch the broadcast, though, after the race.
Well, fingers crossed, then we'll be hopefully seeing you back for a couple of more races then over the course of the season. You can get yourself a couple of more wins before season's end. Before I let you go, Clayton, anybody you'd like to shout out for that number 92?
Shout out to all the sponsors, all the guys that help us at Legacy Esports, Reaper Speedway, Champion, Curb, Blaster, Blackstone Management, any other sponsors I might have forgotten. But, there's a lot of guys that help support us, and have some really fast trucks, some really fast cars in the Coke Series. Haven't had the greatest finishes this year, but definitely had a lot of speed.
Thank you, Clayton, for taking the time to join us here tonight. Congratulations on a race win, and best of luck, well, whenever we see you next, and good luck in Road to Pro as well.
Thank you.
And that'll move us on down to the second place finisher. Mark Padgett joins us up now in the broadcast booth. And Brian, you're standing by with the runner-up.
Mr. Mark Padgett, excellent work here tonight, man. I mean, you won both stages and finished second place. I mean, got to feel good to have those kind of that kind of a points day here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of feels like deja vu, just like last week. But I'll take it. Like you said, great points day and a couple valuable playoff points.
I mean, what was the main challenge here tonight? Did you feel like once Clayton got by, you just could not reel him back in? What was going through your mind?
I think, like Clayton said, he made some really good adjustments. I could tell early on he was loose. Actually, the whole race probably he was loose, but he made some really great adjustments. I made one good adjustment, went for the home run adjustment there at the end, and I did not make a good adjustment on that last run.
Well, you definitely hate to see it. You still put up such a amazing effort here. I mean, and you still, we're somewhat even catching him at the end there. I mean, especially with all the lap traffic and stuff he was having to deal with. Did lap traffic, was that a challenge for you tonight also?
No, they did a pretty good job. I'll give credit to everybody for getting out of the way and staying. There at the end with Andrew, I was just going to follow him. No need to pass with 2 to go and 5 seconds in front and behind me. So, pretty good job of everybody getting out of the way tonight.
Definitely was a very clean and green race. I mean, were you expecting that? Did you come in here with a long run kind of car, or did you expect it to be more split up into short runs?
I expected at least one caution in that last stage. Well, I guess in the middle of the stage we did have one pretty quick, but yeah, I expected another crash or two, and we just didn't get it.
Well, we definitely appreciate your time. I know Nolan already asked this question earlier to Clayton. How are you feeling about Bristol Dirt? I mean, this is going to be kind of untested ground here when it comes to, we're going to be at the next gens here. Next gens have never been here.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't even tested it yet, so I have no idea how it's going to go. I have a little bit of dirt experience, but not a lot. But with these cars, it's a total wild card. It'll be a good show, though, next week.
It definitely will be. We are looking forward to it for sure. Well, who can we shout out after you got that second place finish here tonight?
Yeah, just the team. It's a great effort. Triad gave me another good setup this week. And thanks to our sponsors, Sousa Media, Caterpillar, SRG, Stint Analyzer. Thanks, guys.
Well, that is Mark Pageant, your second place finisher, and also stage 1 and 2 winner. Congratulations. We'll see you next week, Mark.
Thanks. See you next week.
And we'll move it along then to the third and final finisher on the podium. Josh Yoffler joins us up in the broadcast booth. And Josh, you told us a little while ago you consider yourself to be better as a follower instead of the leader. The fact that you went from 11th to 3rd, I'd say certainly seems to still support that theory of yours today.
Yeah, I just took it easy there. I had a little bit of trouble actually at the start of the race with some sound issues, so I actually had to jump out and start from the pits, and which is okay. I did fall lap down there. We got the lucky dog, and then just really methodically took my time, really didn't push, and it's a really long race here, 250 laps, and yeah, we were able to work our way up into the top 5 there, kind of at the start of the last stage, and got up to 3rd, and yeah, tried to short pit, use a little pit strategy. I didn't have enough for Mark and Clayton. They did a great job. Congratulations to them tonight. Well-deserved 1 and 2, and yeah, just happy to get back on the podium, and overall just had a clean car, and that's that's probably half the battle here is just having a clean car at the end of the race.
Martinsville is notoriously one of the most difficult tracks on the NASCAR calendar. What would you say is the more difficult factor, racing with people on the track or just the overall fatigue that comes with such a long race like the one we had tonight?
Yeah, it's a physically demanding race, and you really got to stay focused, hitting your marks, for 500 turns or whatever it comes out to be. Each lap is just got to stay focused, and yeah, and lap traffic is always tough here. It's hard to pass, especially as the tires wear a little bit, and yeah, just got to be really patient to work through traffic, and yeah, we had a good car tonight. Just didn't quite have enough to compete with Clayton and Mark.
And of course, you're talking about how obviously it's a demanding racetrack. Would you say it's more or less demanding though than the dirt racing where we're going to be at next week?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Unfortunately, I won't be here or at Bristol on the dirt next week. It's snowing up here again in Minnesota, so we're taking out to Florida with the family, and we'll catch up after the dirt race, after we catch some warm weather. It's been a long winter up here in Minnesota.
Fingers crossed then that you'll be able to race out with us there in Bristol, Tennessee, and hopefully we'll be seeing you back on the podium, if not in victory lane, when we finish out the 125-lap race next week. Thank you for joining us tonight here, Josh. Before I let you go, anybody you'd like to shout out for that Plenish number 50? Yeah,
got to thank Plenish Soybeans, Pioneer Seeds, Smith Farms. Got to thank my wife, kids, for letting me come down here and do this a couple of nights a week, and yeah, everyone at G&G Racing, and Kenny and the group at ISCA, ButtKicker, and Nolan, you and Brian up in the booth. Got to thank them, and yeah, just appreciate all the support that we have to make this league be successful each week.
And well, with that, that's about all the time we're going to have for one night then. From Martinsville Speedway in Martinsville, Virginia, my name is Ben Nolan with Brian Britt beside me in the broadcast booth. Rob Mellick was, of course, doing all the fantastic work behind the cameras, as always, for us here tonight. Join us next week when we go dirt track racing and get down and dirty in Bristol, Tennessee for yet more racing action in the iRacing Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series.